All right, welcome in everybody and welcome back. We're doing a Q&A. It's the end of the month, so figured we would toss a Q&A out there because it's been a while since we've done one. So welcome in. If you're new here, my name's Brantley. I'm a slot tech and I'm going to answer some of your questions today live. So if you have any burning questions about slot machines, about the casino industry, about anything like that, let me know. I'll be happy to answer those for you. Obviously, we get a lot of questions in here, so can't get to every single question, but if I happen to miss yours, check that link right there, ropethejackpot.com. That's our website. It does have a free-to-use chat room. Anyone can use it. You can chat with people all over the world or in your state. So if you've got questions, maybe you're trying to find a machine at a particular casino, that's the website to go to. So welcome in, everybody. We're going to dive right into it, and we are going to get started. Hope everybody is having a fantastic day. So let's dive right in and get started. Let's see. Dennis Gilmore has a question here. Welcome in, Dennis. Why do slots seem to pay out when you get down to your last dollar and can't cover all the lines? I got 5 lines on Unicorn, but did not have all lines covered. So here's the thing. The slot machine does not take into account that you're down to your last credit. Every single spin is going to be random. It's going to be independent. It's going to act like every single previous spin before that. So if you get down to your last credit, you're going to remember sometimes if you have to reduce your bet, and then it gives you something that you would have had you had the increased bet or increased lines or increased multipliers or whatever the case may be. You're going to remember that, and that's going to stick in your mind, but you're not going to remember the 300 other times that didn't happen. So it doesn't matter if you're down to your last credit or not. The slot machine is still going to perform and act just the same. But good question. All right. Let's see here. And Mo has a question here. Are there behind-the-scenes factors that influence a machine's likelihood to hit a grand prize, like whether it's linked to other machines in a network? No, slot machines are all going to be independent. So even if a progressive is linked, that progressive unit, it's on what is called a progressive controller. It just shares data between progressive devices, but the device still operates and acts independently. So all that device does is share the data for the progressive. It does not affect the actual gameplay. There are no behind-the-scenes factors or anything like that. In order for a slot machine to legally be called a slot machine, it has to operate independently with its own internal random number generator. So very good question. Thank you for that. And Carly, hope I said your name correctly. When a casino has a slot tournament, what representatives, if any, must be present when the machines are taken out and returned to normal play? No representatives need to be present for that. That's a relatively simple thing. Again, it's especially with some of the slot tournament machines right now. The most popular tournament machines are Every machines. They have a really good system where no, they don't need any representatives or anything like that. Always just keep in mind that with a slot tournament, you are playing it's a marketing event. It's not a gaming event. When a slot machine enters into a tournament mode, it does not have any comprehension or understanding of money whatsoever. You're playing for points at that point. So just keep that in mind. Those two cannot cross. But as for a representative needing to be there, no, there's not any representative that would need to be present for that. Tex Bino, what denominations and bet level do you play on your personal time? This is a good question. So as for me, myself, I am a high limit player. When we go to the casino to record, and this is something we've talked about it in the past before, and there's no secret, no hiding it. When we go into the casino to record, I have a set thing that I'm trying to show you guys to demonstrate for educational purposes. So I might say, you know what, I want to educate people on how to work with $100. So we'll go in with $100. We'll do that. But on my personal time, I play normally $50 to $100 spins. That's me on my personal time. We do have some videos of that play. Not many, just because I don't like showcasing out that aspect because it's not realistic for most people. And I don't want people to get the idea that if they go into the casino with a whole bunch of money that they can do that same thing, because it's not really a healthy thing to showcase. So usually we don't showcase that. But on my off time, when I'm not recording, I'll play $50 to $100 spins. Good question. All right. On Facebook, Steven says, what is a good bankroll to start out on machines? I'm normally a table player and always get skunked on machines. So here's the thing with nobody, not me, not another channel, not your best friend, nobody should ever tell you what budget you should start out with or what bankroll you should start out with. That is 100% on you to decide what is your comfortable, what your comfort level is, what are you okay with. That is 100% on you. So do not let anybody ever try to convince you otherwise, that you need to have a certain bankroll, because we don't know your personal situation. So anytime that I get bankroll questions about what should I bring, or what should I start with, or what should I do, I always tell people that for the bankroll aspect, you need to make that decision, because that is a decision that only you can make. So just be careful with that. Make sure that you're always sticking within your own personal comfort zone, what you are comfortable with, and what, most importantly, what you're comfortable with losing. Because with slots, you're going to lose a lot more times than you win. Trust me, it happens. So always keep that in mind. And thank you very much for your question. Nita says the variety of games and budgets in your videos are great. Well, thank you very much. I like to try to provide something for everybody on this channel. It's never the same. We do not do one thing or another. We are not established one way or the other. This is not a strictly high roll. This is not a strictly low roll channel. You might tune in one day and we could be working with budget of $20, or you tune in the next day and we could be working with budget of 20,000. It's a real crapshoot. So that's why it's always important, if you're out there yet and you haven't yet done so, please do subscribe, because there's always something new every single day, just about. So thank you very much for that. All right. Let's see. And give me a minute, guys, if I start slowing down, just looking for questions, because there's a bunch of questions in here. So I always like to try to get as many questions in as I possibly can. So either I'll start speeding up through some, or what have you. Let's see. Phyllis, is the bonus predetermined? Does it matter when you press the button in the button? So the bonus rounds, some are predetermined, most are not predetermined. So if you're talking about free spins or the hold and spin, like on Dragon Link or Piggy Bankin or something like that, those are not predetermined. The only ones that usually are predetermined are the pick bonuses. So like if you have to pick to match 3, so coins, gems, and Mo Mummy. If you have to pick to match for the jackpot in the original Mo Mummy, not the new one, those are all predetermined. There are some pick bonuses out there that are not predetermined, though. Cleopatra 2 is one of those. So when you get into the bonus and you have to select your little case or whatever to reveal your free spin number, that is not predetermined. You can actually pick the wrong one in Cleopatra 2. Same thing with Pharaoh's Fortune, where you have to select all the blocks and stuff like that. That is not predetermined either. So yes, you can pick the wrong one in that one. But most bonuses, if you were to talk about just majority of bonuses, are not predetermined, especially on the most popular games out there. Anything that's free spins are never predetermined. And then the hold and spin features, those are not predetermined either. So it kind of depends, but there's a couple one-offs in there. But yeah, most of them, they're not predetermined. Good question, though. All right. Is that true for bingo machines? So for bingo machines are biggest distinction that you have to make. Bingo machines are not slot machines. They are not. They look like a slot machine and feel like a slot machine to give you that same familiar experience, but it is a completely different game. You're playing the game of bingo. So when you get something like a red screen, for example, it already knows what it's going to be, because all a red screen is showing that you've won on multiple bingo cards. That's all that is. So bingo machines are slightly different in that aspect. So it's always important to make the distinction between a bingo device and a slot machine. A big distinction there. Okay. Ed asks, what will the next live stream theme be? I'm trying to think of what the next one is. It's a new game. Wu Jin Pin, I think, is what it's going to be this upcoming Sunday. So every single week. Oh, and also there is going to be some buy a bonus on this upcoming Sunday live show as well. So that will be the next theme for the Sunday live show. Sundays are pretty cool. We do something new and unique every single Sunday. They're really cool premiere videos, so I hope you guys are able to turn in and have some fun with us. All right, a lot of questions rolling in here, guys. Tim asks, if a casual slot player actually hits a jackpot, should they have the taxes taken out? Here's the thing. So anything that's tax related, I cannot give you tax advice because I am not a tax professional. So we always have to mention and say that if you do have tax questions, you do have to contact a licensed tax professional. It is recommended, especially if you're not a big gambler, especially if you don't hit a lot of jackpots, maybe you only hit like 1 or 2 a year, it's recommended to just take the taxes out, get it done and over with. And that's usually a pretty safe assumption. Mark has a good question here. How do casinos decide what machines to bring? There's a lot of factors that go into it. Popularity is definitely one of them. Most machines are leased, so whatever is coming out that is new, hot, and popular, they're going to try to go for that first. Casinos also do take the input of players as well. I've mentioned this a couple times, but it is very important. If there is a particular game that you guys really, really want in your casino, go talk to your slot manager. Ask to see if the slot manager is working. Go let them know. The more they hear it, the more likely they are to look into it. And casinos are always looking into what new games to buy and what new games are popular. So definitely have a chat with them. But mostly it goes by popularity, whatever's popular at the time. Majestic Slots says, heard a myth from a friend. I think it tracks to card. So no, this is an age-old myth, guys. The player's card does not interact with the game logic portion of a slot machine. It can't. Those two do not talk to each other. So the thing is, here's the problem, and this also goes with the fast stopping as well. I want you guys to really, really think like a psychologist for just a moment. So just a moment, think like a psychologist. You cannot, as a human being, see two simultaneous results at the same time. So if you are fast spinning through a game and you happen to get a bonus, your natural human reaction is going to assume that it is because you fast stopped the game. But in reality, you cannot see what would have happened had you not fast stopped it. Had you not fast stopped it, you would have gotten the same result. It's the same thing with the player's card. If you pull your player's card in and out and you happen to get something, your brain is naturally going to associate with that with the card. But it is not the case. It is not correct. It mechanically cannot work like that. So you have to realize that these games are built very, very psychologically. And a lot of it is by design, especially the fast stopping, but you cannot see both results simultaneously at the same time. And also when it comes to the player's card, if you are not using a player's card, all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. That's all you're doing, because you are leaving benefits on the table, free play on the table. You working in the casino industry, you will not believe how many times I had people come up to me and be like, well, why does that person get so much free play and I don't? Well, because you don't use your damn card. Well, why does that person get free buffets and free rooms? Because you're not using your card. So there's a lot of factors, but all you're doing by not using your card is leaving benefits on the table that you could otherwise be using. So don't let the myths get to you. Don't. It's just, honestly, when you let the myths get into your mind, not only does it affect your gambling, it's poor judgment. It's poor judgment. But very good for bringing that up. Ivan says, what are your thoughts on video poker? Any recommendations? So the thing is with video poker, mathematically, because we take everything by, talking about facts here, just the straight up facts. Mathematically speaking, video poker is your best chances of any machine in the casino. Hands down, it is. Because there is a skill factor involved, and you do have some control over what you're holding, what you're folding, so on and so forth. Video poker is a fantastic game to play. Why do we not play it on the channel? It's boring as shit. Plain and simple. Hardly anybody likes to watch it. That's why we don't play it on the channel. But mathematically speaking, it's a good game to play, especially if you know what you're doing and if you know about video poker. It's one of the best games to play. I'm not going to sit here and teach video poker because I am not a professional video poker player. There are a lot of people out there that are professional video poker players. It's not my wheelhouse. So that's video poker in a nutshell. Do I have any recommendations? No. I'm sure somebody out there that plays video poker a lot would have a lot of good recommendations for you, but just speaking mathematically, it is the best overall chances of any machine at the casino that you could pick from. So good question, though. All right. And guys, I apologize. There's a bunch of questions rolling in here, so obviously I can't take every single question, but I will definitely roll through and try to get as many questions as possible. Let's see. Rick says, Mystery of the Lamp, is there any difference between 1 cent at 2.40 or 2 cent at 1.20? So on Mystery of the Lamp, if you look at the game rules on the game, I believe, I'd have to go back and watch because I did a video on this one. I believe that the denomination is what matters, is more important than the bet multiplier. So in that case, obviously you have to prioritize your budget first and foremost. So are you working with a little bit bigger of a budget or a smaller budget to really find the sweet spot? Use that first to pick your bet level that you're comfortable with. But on Mystery of the Lamp, I believe 2 cent will give you a teeny tiny slight little edge, but again, that edge is so super small and slim. Anytime on any machine at any bet level, if the game rules state that there is an edge to playing a higher denomination or a higher bet multiplier, is that factually correct and true? Yes, it is. Is it a big enough edge for you to go outside of your budget limitations or your spending? No. So always prioritize your budget first and foremost before picking your bet, whether it's bet at a bet multiplier or a denom or anything like that. But very good question. All right, let's see here. And again, guys, apologize that all the questions just kind of run in here. Very good statement here from Majestic Slots. Budget and money management is way more important while playing. Not even an opinion, Majestic Slots. That is a straight up fact. Budget and money management is the most important thing with slot machines. It is. If you can't control your bankroll, there's nothing else outside of that. Controlling your bankroll and your budget is going to be 90% of your success at slots. Sean says, anywhere in Las Vegas or Wendover that has low volatility 100 or nothing machines. 100 or nothing is not a low volatility game. It seems like it would be because it's a extremely simple pay table. But again, it depends on the bet level too. So 100 or nothing, I would assume it would be $1, probably a dollar machine. It's not really, it's more in the middle range in terms of volatility. It's not really high volatile. It's not really low volatile. It's more in the middle. Last one I saw was actually at, I believe, Aria. I think Aria had one, and it's kind of hidden away a little bit, but they do have one. Wendover, I have not seen Wendover, any of them in Wendover. Let's see. All right, give us tips on how to control your bankroll and your budget. Well, the biggest thing when controlling your bankroll and budget, there's a couple tips that I can give you guys on this, because it is going to be 90% of your success at slots. Like I said, if you can't control your budget and you can't control your bankroll, there's really nothing else that can help you, because that is the bulk of it when it comes to slot machines. But the biggest thing, obviously, shouldn't have to be said, but don't try to go outside of your means. That's the biggest thing. Always take what you're willing to lose, because more likely than not, you'll probably lose it. But stick to the 1% rule. So whatever your bankroll is, your bankroll, doesn't matter what you put in the machine, but your bankroll, your overall bankroll, your bet amount should not exceed 1% of that. So if you have $500, you should try to stick with $5 bets. That should be the max. Don't let your bet go over $5. You can break that down into smaller increments. The other thing that helps is having something like a lockbox, which we do have for sale on our website, and these are super, super helpful. I'll put our website up on the screen again, ropethejackpot.com. There's a couple different sizes in the shop. That really helps, and also it kind of adds a new fun dynamic to gambling as well. So anytime you're winning money, and this can be at a high level or it can be at a low level, whatever your level is that you're comfortable with. Anytime that you're making money, cash out, put a little bit in the box. Doesn't have to be the whole amount, but just a little bit. So say you put $100 in, you get up and it's like you get 120. Take $20, put it in the box, and continue playing on your 100. If you do that enough times, by the time you get home and unlock your lockbox, sometimes I've even surprised myself with how much money I've had in that box. It's cool, and it adds another dynamic to the game. That's the biggest thing. Biggest thing I would recommend. Those are the two biggest things that I would recommend in terms of controlling your bankroll and controlling your budget. And obviously we could get into a lot more. There are we do have a lot of videos in the library on that topic, so be sure, especially if you're new here, check out the video library as well. Okay. And again, guys, just looking for questions, so just give me a minute here, because there's a bunch of y'all in here tonight, which is awesome. Hard for me to catch up. Let's see, is Huff and Puff, buzzsaw features, or helmets predetermined, or timing matters? It's not predetermined. It's not predetermined whatsoever. Greg says, seems to me $10 bet or higher equals more jackpots. So here's the thing. This actually goes into another psychological thing. It's just math, guys. The jackpot limit in the United States is $1,200. $1,200. So if you're playing a $10 bet, that's 120 credits. So if you go play, say, double diamond or hell, pinball, and you get, say, a pinball bonus and you get 120 credits, which is just barely above the average. Most pinball games would give 120 credits on a good day. It would lock up and give you a jackpot. Well, you've got the same likelihood of getting 120 credits on, say, a dollar machine. So you could go play a pinball at $1, you'd still get 120 credits, but it's below that $1,200 threshold. So this is why a lot of people, they'll either watch high rollers or they'll see the high limit room and they're like, my gosh, there's jackpots going off there all the time. Well, yeah, it's because you're betting more. You're getting closer to that $1,200 threshold. You start playing $100 a spin and a cherry or a single bar is over the threshold. So you always just have to put it in perspective to your bet. Is that a true statement? It is a true statement. What you're saying, it seems to me like $10 bet or higher equals more jackpots. That is true, but you got to put it in relation to your bet and what you're betting. That's the biggest thing. You've got to keep it in relation to your bet amount. If I go into the casino and I play $100 spins, which I normally do a lot of times, if I go in and I play $100 spins, it is not uncommon for me to get 40, 50 jackpots in one night, because at that bet level, everything is a jackpot, because everything crosses that $1,200 threshold. It actually gets kind of annoying. But you go play a dollar machine and you can still get the same bet to win ratio, but again, it's all usually under that $1,200 limit. So just always keep it in relation to what you're betting. That's the most important thing. And I mention that because I never want people to get caught up in, especially seeing other people bet really, really high and thinking that's the ticket is to bet high. No, it's not. It's not worth pulling money that you don't have or that you shouldn't be gambling to go do that. So now, if you got the budget, go for it. But most people don't have the ability to do that. So always just keep that in mind. Let's see. Lillian, in your opinion, what is the best Link game? And did you record the grand on Dragon Link? So, first part of the question, in my opinion, what is the best Link game? There are some good ones out there. I personally am fond of Mystery of the Lamp. That's one of my favorites. I like all the elements to that. Pretty much at this point, there's a lot of different Link games. I'm a big fan of Piggy Bankin'. Piggy Bankin' is a fun game, but that goes into, again, they're difficult games to play. So always do keep that in mind. Second part, did you record the I can't talk. Did you record the grand jackpot? So believe it or not, I actually got two grands on Dragon Link within an hour of each other. So I had moved over to, after I hit the first grand, I hit the first grand on Panda Magic, moved over, and I was playing $200 a spin on Happy and Prosperous and hit the grand inside of that. Both of those grand jackpots happened inside of the free spins. So I had the free spins and then I got the hold and spin inside of the free spins. That was when both of those grand jackpots triggered. Did I record either of them? No, because I was playing on my own personal time. And usually when I play, usually when I go out to the casino, because I don't record everything, I probably should. But I believe we had just finished recording and I had my phone on the charger. My phone was charging, and that's when I happened to hit the grand jackpots. There's photos of it, of course. The Windover Nugget shared a photo with the big check and all of that. It was a lot of fun. We did actually have a crowd there too. There was probably about six fans or so, which if you happen to be there that night, if you're here in the chat, drop a comment down below. But there was probably about 6 people or there or so that saw the second grand happen, and that was pretty dang cool. I know with the grand jackpot, so I will say this because since it happened to me twice in one day, that is extremely, extremely, extremely rare. The first jackpot occurred on a $50 bet, $2 denom, $50 bet on Panda Magic. I was in the free spins, got the hold and spin. That's when the grand jackpot happened. Was the window active? You know how a lot of times you'll hear people talk about, oh, there's light in the tunnel or there's a ball moving around in there. Yes, the window was active, so you could see the ball rolling around in the window. However, on the second grand jackpot that I hit, that window was not active. There was no light in the tunnel. You hear a lot of people say that, be like, oh, there's no light in the tunnel. I don't see a ball. You're not going to get it. There wasn't one, and it happened on the very, very last spin. So does there have to be a ball showing to get the grand? No, there does not. It can come back. It's very difficult, but yes, it can just pop out. It was really fun. It was a lot of fun to do that. But I will say this again: those machines will absolutely take your money. Definitely not good for bankroll building or anything like that, or especially if you are on a low budget. So please just always remember that. Try it if you've got the money, but don't chase it. Don't push it. Okay. Let's see. Johnny Spins. Does cycling through denom affect the bonus chance or double top dollar 9 line? No, it does not. The whole idea of, trying to find like the denom that pays better or the bet amount that pays better, there's no correlation between that. The machine does not recognize it. There's no technical reasoning. If you happen to move to a different denom and you hit, it was lucky chance, but no, there's not, one denom is not better than another one. There are certain games that do have added benefits to different denoms and different bet multipliers, and you should check the game rules to see if that game is one of those. But no, It does not increase your chances or anything like that by bouncing around. A common question here, but a good one. Greg asks, is there a difference between Dragon Link and Dragon Cash? Yes, there is. This is going to be really, really surprising. There's a couple different differences, but the biggest one right off the bat is one is linked and one is not. So Dragon Link will share a grand jackpot with either, most likely it's a cluster, it's a bank of machines. The grand jackpot is linked. If you look at Dragon Cash, they're all different amounts. The second factor with that is usually the bet amounts are a little bit different. They're a little bit wonky. So Dragon Cash is normally found in higher limits. And with that, usually the minor's higher and the mini's higher on your. So we'll look at a $2 denom. So $2 denom Dragon Cash. A $2 denom Dragon Cash, your minor is worth 10,000 and your mini is worth 2,000. You go to the link version, the same $2 level, go to the same $2 level, and now the minor is only worth 2,500 and the mini is worth 500. So there are some differences, some different aspects in that. If I had to pick between one or the other, in terms of what I enjoy more, it would be Dragon Cash as opposed to Dragon Link. So I hope that helps to answer your question. There is differences, but they're relatively subtle. Okay, Becky says, with a $200 budget, would it be better to play Happy and Prosperous in the high limit room, $5 minimum, or play $5 out on the regular floor? With a $200 budget, I would say $5 bets are way too high. I would limit your betting to $2 or less per spin, and try to build up from there. Because if you do go to play $5 on any game, whether it is Happy and Prosperous or whether it is any other game, it's going to go by way too quickly. You could get lucky, obviously, but I would not recommend it. If that is your casino budget, I would stick with something a little bit smaller and kind of build up. This will also extend your time in the casino a little bit. Try to build up to at least $500 before you attempt a $5 spin, just as safety, for some budget safety there. YouTuber says, how would you go about tricking slot attendant to show you the individual slot payback percentage and RTP if they had to get into the machine for various reasons like low paper or ticket jam or whatever? They're not going to show you that. But here's the thing. Guys, I think I've said this till I'm blue in the face. RTP and payback percentage tells you zero about your experience on a slot machine. It does absolutely nothing for you, the individual player. The payback percentage and the RTP is the aggregate for every single person that will ever play that machine. It doesn't do a damn bit of good to know that information. It doesn't help you. It doesn't benefit you. It does nothing for you whatsoever. So knowing the RTP, I can tell you right now, all these machines behind me right here, my pinball machine right here next to me, they are set at the highest possible RTP, the highest possible payback percentage. And I have not gotten anything different on any of these machines that you would not normally get. They play the exact same as any other RTP because it is a very, very long-term aggregate. And because it is such a long-term aggregate, it is impossible for a single player in a single session to notice any kind of a difference. You cannot notice any kind of a difference. Not in a single session, not in 10 sessions, not in 100 sessions. So it does you no good to know that information. All right. Danny asks, what is your favorite Buffalo game? Answer to that one is none. I'm personally not a fan of the Buffalo games. We play them a couple times just because people do like them, obviously. There are a lot of times that, I will do videos on games that I personally do not like just because people want to see them. But I personally am not a fan of any of the Buffalo games. I don't like that series. The bonus can be okay, but most of the time the bonuses are not very rewarding. I typically recommend stay away from the Buffalo games. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Let's see. SoCal Slots. How come there is not a single video on regular double diamond 3 line? 3-line double diamond. Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Have you done good on it, and what combination did you get on it? A 3-line double diamond, they do exist, but I have not seen one in a very, very long time. 10 years. This is where it's just got the 3 lines straight across. I have not seen one of those in a very, very long time. They do exist. They are out there, but I haven't seen one. None of the casinos that I've gone to have had it. But who knows? You know what? Hey, by the way, guys, I do take game recommendations. So if you have a game in mind, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on it, and I'll play it for you. But yeah, I have not seen that one in a very, very long time. Let's see. I live in Washington State. What is your advice on bingo machines and the virtual scratch ticket machines? So with these, again, it's a different form of randomness. You can still win on it. You can still do well on them. There's a lot of jackpots that come out of Washington State, but just always keep in mind that they are not slot machines. You're going to hear me say that a billion times. So the biggest key thing to keep in mind if you are going to play bingo slots, well, this also applies to slot machines too, but bingo slots or VLTs is you've got to watch your budget. Like I said, anytime you're gambling on anything, whether it's slots, tables, sports betting, whatever, 90% of your success is budget. But the only difference between a game like bingo and VLT versus a slot machine is a slot machine, it's you versus the machine. So you can look at the pay table and you can get a pretty good general idea of something like volatility. How difficult is that game going to be? Bingo machines and VLTs, you really can't do that. You can do it to some extent, but you're not playing the machine. You're either playing a bingo server with other people or you're playing against a lottery pool. So it's very difficult. And in that situation, I would just say 100% focus on your budget and your bankroll for success. That's the biggest thing, because you really can't just look at the machine and judge based off of that. So I hope that helps. I know it's kind of a short, sweet to the point, but I know that's going to be your biggest thing. Rich says, "What do you think of the Press Your Luck slots?" I have not played it. They have one at the Wendover Nugget, but I have not played it. So I'll have to check that out. And Big Papa Pump says, "I tried your Mo Mummy bet you did on previous video and hit almost the exact same amount you did. Was fun. 10-cent, $4 bet. That's awesome. That's a fun game. They did a great job with that game. Usually when there's sequels to slots, they're usually not good, but I like the new version of Mo Mummy better than the original. And I liked the original, but the new version is way more involved and fun. Let's see. Jeffrey says, "What pinball game is better for building bankroll, the 1-line or 9-line? Also, wish you would come to Deadwood." I wish I could come to Deadwood too. I would love to come there. I have not been. I need to get over there probably sometime in the spring or summer. I don't know. But pinball, here's the thing. I love pinball. It's my all-time favorite game. I have a big, big heart for pinball. But I'll be the first to tell you it's probably not the best to bankroll build on. If you're gonna play pinball, you're probably gonna have better chances with the single line regular traditional pinball as opposed to the 9-line. Simply because the 9-line takes a lot more money to get the same result. So just keep that in mind. But really, bankroll build on pinball. I mean, gosh, I love the game of pinball, but yeah, that's the thing. We keep everything real here. So even though pinball is like my all-time favorite game, I'll be the first to tell you, well, for those certain situations, it might not be the best. So John K says, "Do the casinos own the slot machines or do they rent them?" Most of them are rented. Most of them, well, they're not rented, they're leased. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but they do have kind of a weird, the program is called, it's a participation program. So the manufacturer owns the game. They bring the game into the casino. They set it up. Then the manufacturer, it's usually done on what's called an 80-20. So the casino keeps 80% and the manufacturer takes 20%. So that's what's called a participation games. Most slots are like that today. Very rarely, I mean, it used to be very common that casinos would just outright buy the machines, but now the lease programs have gotten really good and really lucrative to where the casinos don't have to pay any money out of pocket. They put the games in the floor. They don't have to, even like big issues come up, they don't even have to take care of it. They just call the game maker. And also the game maker can swap out titles on the game. So if a game is not performing well, the casino can call them and say, hey, nobody's playing this game. And the game maker can come in and just swap out the title and say, here, have another one. So the lease programs are pretty lucrative, but most of the games are going to be leased today. Some of the older games, obviously, like these games behind me, they would be owned by the casino, but most are leased. So very good question. All right. Mike says, have you been to any of the casinos on the East Coast? Long ago, but not anytime in the channel history of having the channel have I been out there. Let's see. Chuck says, Jewel of the Dragon, like or not, volatility high or low? It's going to be higher in volatility. I've played this game a couple times. I played it over at Fountain Blue. I can see the appeal in it, but I can't really make up my mind if it's good or not. It's one of those that it's okay, but personally to me, I don't really find it super entertaining. I'd rather just have a traditional hold and spin rather than hold and spin plus the diamonds. It's kind of my same feelings on the Grand Legends game. It's okay. I mean, I could see they were trying to do something new with it. They were trying to take hold and spin to a new direction, but it just, for me, it's not sticking. But higher volatility, absolutely. All right. Hey, Jojo has a very relevant question. How long have we been doing Cowboy Slots? Our anniversary is February 1st, and February 1st will be 3 years. So we do have an anniversary video that'll come out with some really cool high limit live play. So you guys will get to see some really high bets on there. We'll do that for our anniversary. But yes, 3 years. It's been 3 years, February 1st. Let's see. Have you been to the Black Hawk casinos? I have, but not within the channel's history. All right, let's see. Sorry, I keep trying to click on something and there we go. VLTs, does each game have their own lottery bank or do they all pull from the same lottery? It depends on how it is set up. Usually, it's not individual games that will pull from it. It's normally linked to something. So it's normally either a group of games. It could be by denomination. It can be by a shared prize amount. But it's usually not going to be individual games. Rebecca says, do you love the old real quick hit games? I do, but they're hard to find. Quick hits is one of those classic games. It was very unique when it first came out. And those are the original quick hits. It is pretty dang cool. I'm actually excited to see them kind of doing evolving quick hits a little bit. I like the new quick hit explosion. Bonus is hard to get on it, but I do like the new quick hit explosion. I do like the older quick hit games, but you are 100% correct. They are getting much harder to find. All right. Never been to Vegas. As a slot player, how different is the experience compared to gambling at a local Midwest casino? Trying to justify planning a trip. Here's the thing. The biggest thing about Las Vegas, obviously, so let's just focus on the gambling because everybody already knows, you go to Las Vegas, you've got, alcohol anytime you want it. You've got all the food you want. You've got, pretty much everything under the sun 24/7. So let's remove all that and just focus on the gambling aspect. The biggest thing that you're going to notice in Vegas is the limits are a lot higher. There are some older casinos out there off strip that can still have some pretty reasonable bet amounts, stuff like that. But most of the time, like especially like table games, the limits are higher. Slot machines, a lot of the casinos, the bigger casinos, like I know Fountain Blue, you can play $2,000+ a spin. You could never do that at most other casinos outside of Las Vegas. So if you're a high roller, it's definitely the best place to go. But aside from that, the slots are going to perform and act relatively the same. A lot of times, I mean, I personally like, obviously, and it's way busier. I like quieter environments myself, but that's kind of really the biggest thing about Vegas is just those couple of items. But good luck to you. I hope you do well. Oh, good question here about megabucks. How often do the megabucks pay out? I've seen it pay at our local casino, California Central Valley. Megabucks is notoriously known for being the highest volatile game that you can possibly play. The reason being is because that progressive is so large and the bet amount is relatively small in relation to that. Normally for megabucks, I don't even know if there's been a study on this done, but I want to say it's only like once in every couple years that somebody's lucky enough to hit it. It's extremely difficult, but again, that progressive starts at like $10 million, so it's pretty dang high. It's pretty big. But no, Megabucks is a very very difficult game to play. If you got a chance to see one hit, then that's pretty dang incredible. I have not seen a Megabucks hit. Let's see. Longtime watcher, newly subscribed. What's your biggest jackpot on a slot machine? My biggest jackpot on a slot machine now, last year was about $500,000. That's my biggest jackpot on a slot machine. All right, logical misery. Any news on raising the W2G threshold? No new news on it whatsoever. As with anything with government, the wheels of the government turn very, very slow. I'm sure we will probably at least hear some rumblings about it happening soon. But again, I wouldn't count the chickens before they hatch just yet. But yeah, I wish I had more news for you because I wish the same thing. I think every gambler out there wishes it would change, but nothing new yet, unfortunately. Reno low roller, are the major and grand on Dragon Link programmed like Ainsworth games where the machine picks a number and when that number is reached it hits? No, absolutely not. So they are not must hit by progressives. And a lot of people, this is a big misconception. I've seen a lot of videos out there of people that have said this, and this is factually incorrect because it's not how it works. People saying, oh, it's a maxed out major, it's got to hit. You hear that a lot. The thing is the maxed out part that you see is just what the number stops at for you to get paid out. On the back end, that number is still climbing and calculating. It will just reset at a higher amount. So that's why sometimes if you see somebody hit a $10,000, maxed out major, and then it resets and it goes right back to 10,000 rather than its starting point of like 5, people are like, wow, that's crazy. It reset right back to 10. It's because enough people played it for so long that it added back in all the amount that people had put towards that progressive. Your odds of hitting it do not change because it is maxed out or because it is higher. Now, it is always recommended. It's always recommended to play the game that has the highest possible or maxed out progressive, not because your chances are any bigger, but if you win, you want to get the biggest one if you win, right? So that's why it's recommended to play those. But no, your chances do not get any higher or better, and there is not a set point in which the machine is going to trigger those to go off. Very good question. All right. And Danette, thank you so much for being a member. Is it true on Washington? They're not true slots. Yes, that is true. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the show. I'm not sure if maybe you're just coming in, but yeah, Washington State does not actually have slot machines. They are either going to be bingo or they are going to be VLT. They look and play just like slots, and you can still win good money off of them. Don't be scared of them. But no, they are not slot machines. Let's see. And Box Brock says, I was struggling to get my first hand pay, but thanks to your advice, I've hit four hand pays now. Thanks for your tips. You certainly do have great advice. Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate the feedback and all of that, and you sharing your story. That's very important, and I appreciate that, and that's awesome that you've got that. Gail says, I saw a video that said casinos set the machines looser on the first days and then tighten them. True or false? That is very, very false. And again, this goes back to what we've said before, the myths and stuff like that. Slot machines get set one time. They get set once when they get set up. That is it. They do not get changed or altered after that fact. And second part to that is, again, that payback percentage, the settings on those machines, the settings on those devices, it is for the life of the game. It is for tens of millions of spins on the game. So changing it for a weekend or changing it for a holiday or changing it for even a month or even a year, they are not going to see the ramifications from that, because the thing is that window is so incredibly the window of time that the machine has is so incredibly large. The slot machines do not get changed. They do not. All of that, anytime that I hear people and they're saying, oh, the machines get, I bet the machines got changed. You're just trying to justify losing. That's it. That's all those people are doing. No, the slot machines do not get changed whatsoever. So that's a myth. Thank you for your question, though. I appreciate it. Danny says, good question. Are the odds worse on licensed game, NFL, Willy Wonka, etc.? The odds, and again, remember, because we just touched on this, odds and RTP are a very, very long-term thing. Are they slightly lower and reduced? Some of them are slightly lower and reduced because they have a large progressive attached to them. That is the reason why. Some are not. It just depends. Some of them can be, but again, you still have same equal chances of success on those games. So I wouldn't be afraid of them or anything like that. But would the odds be set slightly lower? They could be. It would depend on the game. It would depend on that. But again, remember, can't stress this enough. The odds are not for you and the individual player. The odds are for everybody that's ever going to touch that game. So, you go to play something that's 88% as opposed to 98%, you are not going to notice a difference in your play session. Even if you were to sit there for days, you would not notice a difference in your play session. It is that big of a window that the machine has. And thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Really do appreciate it. Does advantage play for slots really work? It can. There are some slot machines that are advantage slots. We did a whole video on advantage slots. It's been a while since we've done a video on advantage slots. There are some games like the Ainsworth must hit by progressives are one of them. As the progressive increases, so do your chances of hitting. So if you can try to find one, if you get lucky enough to find one that is very, very close to that top marker, or at least over the halfway hump, you have an increased chance of getting that progressive. You should never chase it, but you do. And there are a couple other advantage games out there. There's not many, but does advantage play work? Kind of, to a degree, but not enough to justify added expense or going over your budget or anything like that. It's not something like, if there was something that was like, oh yeah, you got to go do this, I would tell you, but no. Advantage slots, there is an advantage, but it's a small advantage. So that's why I don't really recommend chasing it or going above and beyond or anything like that. And again, it's few and far between on those games. But thank you very much. Appreciate that. And thank you so much for the super chat. That goes to help the channel, so I really do appreciate that. All right. Does the casino or the games themselves have to pay out a certain percentage? This is a good question. It's a very common question. The answer is no. So the math of the game. So when a slot machine gets designed, it gets run through several simulations, and there's a mathematician that normally will, well, not normally, always, mathematicians are always involved with the creation of slot machines. They will sit there and they will calculate out the probability of what the machine is going to do over its entire life. They will normally do this on what is called about 10 million spins. So what is the probability that XYZ is going to happen within 10 million spins? And that's what gives them that payback percentage number. Here's the thing. In order for a slot machine to pass inspection, it has to fall within a there's a margin of error on both sides of that. So it is very possible for a slot machine to go over that. It is very possible for a slot machine to stay under that. That is just the mathematical average in which it's calculated. So this question actually goes really, really, really deep. I mean, we could get into the weeds on this one for like an hour. I'm not going to do that. But the answer to your question is no, the machines don't have to pay out a certain amount. That is another really big myth, and it's a really big misunderstanding. I've heard a lot of people say things like, well, this casino must pay out X amount of dollars, or this machine must pay out. No, that is not how slot machines work. So there is a margin of error on both sides, both in the positive and the negative, when the game is actually created, and the mathematician actually writes the math and everything for the game. But it is again, I can't stress enough, it's a very, very long window. But no. So the answer to your question is no. The machine does not. Again, we could go very, very far into the weeds on that one, but no. Thank you very much, Greg. Really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the comments, guys. Really do. And again, folks, if you're just now joining in, I'm trying to get to as many questions as I possibly can, but obviously there's a lot of you. There's right now there's over 600 of y'all watching on we got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got X. So there's a lot of you guys watching out there. So if I happen to miss your question, again, I do offer 100% free to use chat forum that is available all the time. I'll put that link right there. You guys can ask any question you want to in there. You can also talk to people in your area too. So, or say you're going to travel out to another state and you want to know what's the best casinos out there. You can talk to people in that state, in that area, maybe see what casino has your favorite machines. So if I happen to miss your question, check out the website, ropethejackpot.com. Also, I want to also toss this out there too. Where will I be next for filming? A lot of people ask that. The website gets updated first and foremost all the time. So the second we plan anything, it goes on the website, and it gets updated regularly. So if you're wondering where we're going to be next, check out the website. It's right there on the main page. We've got casinos listed. We do have Vegas coming up. So check that out. ropethejackpot.com. Okay, let's see. Thank you very much, Dave. Really do appreciate it. Reno Low Roller, will you be coming to Reno anytime soon? Nothing planned for Reno just yet. But again, keep an eye on that website because it does change a lot. As soon as we can start setting stuff up, we'll get out where we can. But it's been a while for Reno. Thank you very much, Todd. You guys are just rocking the compliments today. I really appreciate it. Oh, Baccarat 7 has a good question. How random is that luck has arrived feature determined? So the funny thing about the luck has arrived feature, it is entirely random. Every game is going to have its own calculation of a mathematical average that it can occur. So it's really kind of hard to nail down like just an overall average because so many games have that feature now. But every game that does have that feature is going to have an individual mathematical probability of when the average is that occurs. But it is 100% random. It can happen back to back. It's hard to happen back to back, but it can. But it is random. it is pretty dang random. There's not anything in the programming of the machine that demands that it happen in an X number of spins or anything like that. All right. Nico says, "How does a win-loss statement? Uh, how does a win-loss statement help with my taxes?" That's something, again, talk to your tax professional about, but it's pretty dang important for them to have, just because it makes their life a lot easier, and they can make sure that calculations are correct on that. All right, let's see. Gail has a question here. One more question. Are casino slots regulated by a gaming commission? They are 100% regulated. All of them are, including native casinos as well. And in fact, native casinos have more regulations than they have to follow than non-tribal gaming does. So that's another big myth. You hear a lot of people say, tribal casinos are different. They are not different. They are actually regulated a lot more. And I will give you a little bit of inside story time here. Most tribal casinos actually do have a much lower household than non-tribal casinos do, because typically they are far out. They've got to try to fight for more business. They've got to fight harder for business. So their hold is typically going to be a little bit more in your favor, as opposed to non-tribal casinos are. So do not steer clear of tribal gaming. Tribal gaming is actually a lot of fun, and it is way more regulated than, not way more, but it has more regulations that they have to follow than non-tribal gaming does. Jessica says, this may be a silly question. Hey, there's no silly questions here. You guys can ask any question you want to. I'll always feel comfortable asking any question. I'll give you the straight up honest answer. But do the LED light colors actually mean anything for the machine, or is it just to draw you in? So are we talking about the light on the top, like the candle on the top, or just in general? The candle on the top, it's not really, the colors used to mean back in the day, the colors used to indicate like denomination, the denominations of the machine. So like casinos sometimes would put like blue tape and all of those lights for all the quarters and red for dollars and stuff like that. They really don't do that much anymore. The colors don't really mean much, but the sequence of how they flash actually does have meaning. So like really quickly, because I know we won't dive into this, and I'm not even sure if that's the light you're referring to or not, but we'll just talk about the candle for a minute. If both of the lights are flashing really slow, that means there's a jackpot. If both of them are rapidly flashing and they're interchanging, that means that the door was opened recently and nobody has played it since. If the top light is flashing really slow just by itself, it means that there's something that needs attention with the machine. So whether that's low paper, low battery, something like that. And if the top light is solid, then that means that the player has pushed the service button. So the flashes mean something different, but the colors themselves, they don't really mean much anymore. They used to, but it's really kind of a novelty at this point. So I hope that was you were referring to the candle on the top of the machine. And Mike, thank you so much for that $5 super sticker. Really do appreciate it. Like I mentioned before, the super chats and super stickers, they're greatly helpful to the channel. So really do appreciate that, Mike. Danny says, is it possible to hit a jackpot with free play? It is absolutely possible. I've done it many, many times. There's actually a great video in the library. If you guys have not seen it, go look it up right after this is done. It was a massive jackpot, actually two of them, off of $500 in free play. I think it was overall, I turned $500 in free play into like $26,000. It was something crazy like that. Just a one-off, once in a blue moon opportunity. So, and that was on video, and that was a great video. So go back and take a look at that as a massive free play win off of $500. Probably it'd be, well, it's been more than a couple months, so you might have to go back a little bit in the video library, but it's in there. It is in there. Let's see. Daryl has a question here. Are higher bets makes you more likely to get a bonus? So here's the thing. This is one of those that is very game specific. Most of the time, the answer is no, but there are some games out there that you can have a better chance of triggering a bonus with a higher bet. It's important to look in the game rules to see if that is the case or not. Most games, it's not going to be the case. So don't get super excited. And for absolute seriousness, do not go outside of your bankroll to bet higher than you normally would because of that. But most cases, most machines, the answer is going to be no. There are some few off machines out there that are like that. However, John Lyon, this, you know what? I picked your question because I was just talking about this. I was actually just talking about this on the phone. I have a Buffalo Gold Helix, but was wanting to change the game. How hard is that to do? Well, good luck. You probably are not going to get any software anytime soon to do that. The funny thing is I was actually just on the phone. I was just on the phone with someone, and I said, you know what? I really want to get a Helix cabinet in here. They're pretty easy to get, but every time you get a Helix cabinet, it's always Buffalo Gold, and I want a different game on it. I was told the same thing. Good luck. It's hard to get that software, so you're probably going to be stuck with Buffalo Gold. But the Helix is a good cabinet. You can put a lot of good games on it. Whenever you do, if you ever do come across the software, you can put a lot of good games on it. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find those softwares now. All right. Oh, this is a good question. How many years on average do slot machines stay on the casino floor? You know, it's weird. There are some games that will stick around just forever. They just absolutely won't die because people love them so much. You'll go to some casinos and you'll see all the newest games and then just oddball right there in the middle of a classic like a old school Top Dollar is one of them. Old school Top Dollar. Casinos don't want to get rid of it because they're way too popular. There are also games that they come out and casinos and game makers think that they're going to be the next big thing and they just flop right away and then they're out of the casino in 6 months. So it depends. It really does depend. It's all over the board. I would say, like, if you want an average, maybe a couple years, 2 years, 3 years, about. But some games, like I said, some games just flop within the first year, and other games, you know, they take off and they're there for 20, 30 years. Let's see. All right. And again, guys, I apologize. There's so many questions coming in, and there's so many of you. So I'm trying to pull questions, but it keeps coming in. Let's see. Let's see. It seems like all casinos are going to high volatility machines. What's your opinion of the best? So here's the thing: the higher volatile games are, you know, it's unfortunate, especially if you like the classic games or if you've always been a low roller. It's a sad and unfortunate truth that I'm being straight up honest with you. It's not going to last much longer. It's not. Most casinos are going to the higher volatility games. They're going to have higher bet levels. They're going to have higher bet amounts. It's just kind of the natural way and order of things. My opinion of it, obviously, you know, the thing is, it's going to happen. As for best opinion, sorry, I've got this. Will you leave me alone? Go. No. Off. My opinion of what is the best ones. There are some good ones out there. I mean, honestly, Momo Mo Mummy, they did a great job on. They did a good job on it. Even, you know, the Dragon Cash machines, even though those are very high in volatility, there are some good ones. And the thing is even long before, I'd been saying, you know, there's different variants even within those. Panda Magic and Happy and Prosperous are some of the least variants, lower, you know, they're on the lower side of the volatility when compared to the other Dragon Cash machines. They're not low volatility, they're still high volatility, but they are on the lower end when you compare it to other games, it's sister games like Autumn Moon, Genghis Khan, stuff like that. There are some good ones out there. So it's not like the high volatility is all bad. Um, the biggest thing to keep in mind is with the higher volatility, you need to have a bigger bankroll and you need to have a bigger budget. If you don't, and if your local casino, all they have is high volatility games and you're not succeeding, it's probably because your budget isn't big enough for those games. What I would do is, rather than going, cut down the frequency of your visits, save up your money and go back when you have a bigger bankroll, if that's all you have. But there are some good ones out there. In terms of the higher volatility games. I hope that helps to answer your question. I know it's kind of long-winded, but there's a lot that goes into that. 1999 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Does the bingo card make a difference in class 2 casinos? I always stick with the 7s and 2s. On the top left corner, it always seems to hit on those numbers. Love the content, by the way. Well, thank you very much for your comment and also for your super chat. Really do appreciate it. No, the bingo card really doesn't make that big of a difference. You can change it, but it's still very much a random result. It's just like the normal game of bingo that you would play. If you have, if you have a system that works for you and you happen to like the cards that end in 7 and 2, go right ahead, continue using that. It's fine. It's not going to make a huge difference though, or any difference whatsoever really, but no, it doesn't. The actual card itself doesn't really matter a lot on those, because there's so many ways, so many options, so many patterns, and you never know what bingo balls are going to come out of that machine. So thank you very much for that question and for your super chat as well. Really appreciate it. Debbie says, do you believe there is a better time of day to play? No, there is no such thing. The slot machines do not change for time, day, holiday, week, month, year, anything like that. Slot machines are always going to operate the same. I always recommend go for the time of day that best fits you, that you like to go. Hey, you know what? Some people like the crowds, they like the energy, they like to, some casinos, you go in on a busy Friday night and it's packed, they're playing loud music, there's a lot of energy, everybody's drinking, everybody's having fun, they like that. I personally don't. I personally like to gamble and go when it is the quietest, deadest part of the week. So I will usually go early morning on like a Wednesday. That's when I like to gamble personally. But as for the machines do not change. There's not better odds or anything like that for times, days, weeks, holidays, months, and anything like that. You're going to have the same chances no matter what the day or the time is. So go when it's convenient for you. Go whenever you like the atmosphere. But don't worry about, the machines changing. All right. And again, guys, apologize. There's a lot of questions and comments rolling in here. A lot of good questions and comments. So I really, really do appreciate it. MDL $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. Lost most of the budget in a recent trip. Fortunately, I followed advice you gave about putting winnings in a sealed envelope. I placed a reminder of Bankroll 6.5K in envelopes. Use that for Vegas. Thanks. You're very welcome. And that's and good on you for using that. Like I said, guys, this is a great example. I mean, budget's going to be 90% of your success at slots. It really is. Let's see. And again, guys, apologize. Let's see. Sue Lee, how can you tell if a machine has just hit the major or grand? Like, is there any way to see what they reset at? So the thing is with the way Dragon Link operates, we're talking about Dragon Link. Well, most of the Link games are at this point operate in the same way. If people have really, really hammered them a lot, they might just reset to the capped out amount. That usually isn't very common, but it does happen. It's probably going to be in the game rules what the machine resets at. Again, some games will say it, some games will not, but if you look in the game rules, usually it will say that, or sometimes there's even a little sticker on the front of the machine. I've seen some machines like that that'll say what the what the cap is and what the reset amount is. So that's really kind of the only way to tell. Let's see. Garrett says best machines to get points for a low budget. So this is one we kind of covered in a couple videos. Working with budgets of like $20, $100. Your best ones for especially for point buildup is going to be the low volatility games. The reason being is because most of the time when you do hit, you're going to get at least your bet back, which is going to keep you in the game for a lot longer. And keeping you in the game longer on device is going to really help to rack up those points. So the best machines to get points on a low budget are going to be like your double diamonds, triple stars, stuff like that. 5-line games are going to be really are also going to be good for that as well. So just those lower in volatility games. But as we talked about earlier, the sad part is those old classic games, they're on their way out. I can tell you right now, I mean, games like the ones behind me, you're probably not going to see those at the casino for much longer. So if you like those games, enjoy them while they last. Let's see. Have you done a video on Journey of the Planet Moolah? Yes, I have. It is in the library. Let's see. What's your opinion on different versions of 88 Fortunes? Seems like 3-roll version has better line pace. 88 Fortunes is actually a pretty good game, and 88 Fortunes does not really get the credit that it deserves. It was one of the first games that really kind of spearheaded the whole perceived progression and the pot closing. That was really kind of the first game that did that. That really spearheaded it and got it going, and it doesn't receive enough credit for that. The original 88 Fortunes is a really, really good game to play. Obviously, typical of first-gen versions of games, they're usually pretty good and easy on the bankroll. The 3-reel version does have better line pace, though. I do like the 3-reel version. I do. So my opinion on it, it gets a thumbs up from me. It's a good game to play. I wouldn't really say it's a good bankroll builder, but overall it is a good game to play. All right. Rick says, do you also play table games? If so, which ones and why? Table games, I do play table games. I think I will say this. I mean, I like roulette. Blackjack I find boring. I like 3-card poker. 3-card poker is fun. Roulette's fun. Blackjack's boring. I'm starting to get more and more into just traditional regular poker. So like the poker rooms, I'm actually kind of doing good at it. And normally I'm not a poker player, but my last trip to Vegas, I kind of, I was with a friend of mine and we went to, he's a big poker player. And it was actually my first time ever going into a poker room, because normally I've not ever been the one to do that. But he's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. And I actually ended up winning, and it was a lot of fun. And now I'm kind of like, oh, well. So I've kind of been playing some more just regular poker, and I'm actually finding that I'm fairly good at it. So maybe that will make my list of different table games that I'll start playing. But yeah, I just kind of fell into that relatively recently. Let's see. On the Phoenix links, are they less volatility variations like Dragon Links with Happy and Prosperous and Panda? Have not had the chance to dive really deep into the Phoenix links, but from what I have seen of the Phoenix links, yes, there is different variance between versions. I really don't like how they play. Again, my perception might change a little bit as I learn more about the games, but initially, right off the bat, I'm not too impressed with Phoenix Link. but I will have to see. So let's come back to that once I've had time to really learn more about that one. Wager Saver, Robert says, does the Wager Saver option have a takeout, or is it fair odds of getting the free spin based on the amount you left in the machine? It is 100% fair odds based on the amount that you leave in the machine. So it is all exact. So, like, let's say if you put $50 in and you try to do a $100 spin, your chance is going to be 50% that you get it. So it is straight to the point, to the marker on that one. So it's even chances across the board for the Wager Saver. Oh, this is a good question. Do slot cabinet designers take into account wild superstition, charged charged physical abuse when building a machine? I feel like it's a miracle some machines still work after all, and how they get treated. Yes, they do. Um, Everything is designed around superstition with slot machines, guys. It's crazy. When slot machines are made, they're literally built. They have the best like psychologists and everybody come in about how can we attract people to stay at this game as long as possible. And it's amazing. They do an amazing job. They are some of the greatest, smartest minds out there. And they're so smart that they have people out there thinking that actually those pigs are going to pop because they're so big, or that bull's going to fall over because it's so full, or those firecrackers are going to go off, or if I turn the volume up real loud. Those people are really, really dang smart and they're good at their job. But as for the cabinet itself, yes, they do take that into account. Sometimes they don't do it the right way. Sometimes there are buttons out there that they come out with. I won't mention the cabinet name, but there is a particular cabinet out there from a particular manufacturer that if you slap the button hard enough, it disconnects a certain wire that you pretty much is almost impossible to get back in, and you have to order new parts. I'm not going to say which one, but there's a cabinet out there where if the button breaks, it breaks, and then that's why it sits there and the button is broken for a very, very long time. But most game makers do a really good job of making sure that the buttons, the machines, the screens, all of that are pretty resistant towards people's beating of them. So, because they do know. They do know that does happen. That's a good question. Let's see. Have you ever played a cruise slot tournament? Is it predetermined? No. Tournament, yes, I have played. And no, slot tournaments are not predetermined. They're not. Not on a cruise or anything like that. Garrett says, where can I buy machines like you have behind you? We actually have a link in our shop, guys. Our shop actually has a bunch of stuff. It's not just Cowboy Slots merch. There is Cowboy Slots merch in there, but there's also links on where can you buy these machines. There's links to lock boxes that you can get. There's a bunch of stuff to help you guys out. So check it out, ropethejackpot.com /shop. It's all on the website. Low budget, high limit slots. Would you recommend an S3000? Love the way they look, but have heard they aren't as reliable as the S2. They're reliable. They're okay. Yes and no. So you can switch the games out on it, which is pretty nice. I mean, you can do a game swap on these too. Reliability, I haven't had a lot of issues. I've run into a couple issues with it, but it was all relatively easily correctable. I would say probably the best machine for home use, if you really wanted to get one for your house, is still going to be the G23. The reason being is it's multi-game. You can have as many games on there as your little heart desires. They're a lot of fun. The games like these behind me, I never play them. They just sit there. And even my S3000, I rarely ever even touch it. But would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think you're going to have issues with it. But yeah, good luck on that. I mean, the S2000s, those things are bomb proof. So yeah, reliability. I mean, if you're to compare reliability between the S2 and the S3, the S2 is going to be way more reliable. But the S3 is still reliable. It's still a good game. But thanks for your question. Really do appreciate it. Let's see. Do you like the Sega Sammy game? Sega Sammy games like Railroad Riches. Railroad Riches. That game is a really, really tough cookie to crack. It's one of those where the bonus is either it seems to me the bonus just doesn't have a middle ground. Either you get the bonus and it's phenomenal or it sucks. There's no in between. So it's hard to get into that game, but I mean it's a fun game. It was number one for the longest time on the gaming market. I believe it might still be might be edged out by now, but I do like it. I do like those games. Sega Sammy's doing a great job. But yeah, the only problem I have with those bonuses is you get it and it either seems to do really good or it sucks. Let's see. I got my pocket-sized lockbox for the casino tomorrow. Thanks for the great idea. You are very welcome. And hey, guys, you know what? If you don't have a lockbox or don't want to order one, use an envelope. So little trick, and this absolutely does work, because I want you guys to remember something. Everything in the casino and everything with slot machines is all psychological. It's all built around the human psyche. If you can realize and understand that, you're halfway home. So what you can kind of do to combat that is bring some blank envelopes with you to the casino. And every time you win, I want you to write something on the envelope. Write something on the envelope of something that you want. Something that you want, or a goal, or something. Right? New shoes, or something for something that you've really been wanting to buy, or $500 for savings, or something like that. Write something on the envelope. But while you're at your house, write something on the envelope. And then take those envelopes to the casino with you. And anytime you win, start filling the envelopes. And then once you've reached the amount that you need for that item or whatever, then seal it. Here's what it's going to do. Can you break the envelope? Absolutely, you can. But now, when you go to break the envelope, you have something in your face that is reminding you of what you're going to give up to spin that button one more time. It works. Take some envelopes. If you don't have a lockbox, just try it. It's a lot of fun, and it kind of adds a whole new dynamic to the game. So try that. All right. Leslie says, do slot machines ever malfunction? I.e., do they reels show a win, but the machine doesn't recognize it? Slot machines do So the thing is slot machines are computers. They're just computers. Even the ones with the spinning reels, they're still a computer. Because the reels falling into place is the after effect of what the computer has already decided. What typically happens is, do they malfunction? Yes, it's not as common today as it used to be. But a lot of times, and this happens so quick, people push the spin button and they see the reels spinning. The result has already been determined when those reels started spinning. So what you do is you push the button tells the computer to pull a result. The computer pulls a result and then sends that result to the reels and says, okay, now spin and show this result. So the reel spinning is actually the last step of the process. It's the after. It's the after effect. It's not the before, it's the after. When the reels are spinning, it's the after. Computer's already made up its mind. What typically happens when there is a discrepancy is on mechanical reel games, sometimes it will miss its mark or it will overshoot. And that will go into a reel tilt. And the reel tilt, what happens is, the computer told the reels to do something and the reels either slipped or something happened. It is rare, but it does happen. The machine will recognize that it has happened and it will put an error message on the screen. So we can see that that was a malfunction. And all they have to do is they turn the key, and what happens is the reels are going to spin again, and it's going to go back to that same spot that it was supposed to go to in the first place. That's the most common, especially with mechanical reel machines, that's the most common malfunction. Do they happen? Yes. It's not as common anymore today as it used to be, though. All right. Dave says, do you ever just shake your head watching other slot creators bet 500 or more on spins because it could send a message of false hope? You know what? No, I don't fault them for doing that. The thing is, everybody has different demographics, and at the end of the day, it comes down on the responsibility of you, the viewer. Um, I personally, I think it's fun to watch. I think it is very much entertaining. Have I done it before? Yes, I have. But usually, anytime that I'm playing high limits, especially if I'm recording, I will put a very, very strong message in there to do not attempt to do this unless you have the budget to do it, because it's just responsible to do. But at the end of the day, it falls on the responsibility falls on the viewer. It does. You should not ever watch something and try to go emulate it if you cannot afford to do so. But so I don't fault the creators for doing those extremely high limit bets because they can afford to do it, and it is very entertaining and it's fun to watch. I think we all enjoy watching that and wishing, yeah, I wish I could spend $1,000 to spend on stuff like that. But do I think that it could send a false message? I think depending on how it's done. Most creators out there, a lot of creators are pretty responsible with it. So depending on how it's done, if it's done in a good taste and stuff like that, then I don't have a problem with it. I think, there is a line between reckless and responsible. And, as long as it does not cross the line into reckless, then I don't have an issue with it. But that's a good question. 5 lines or 10 lines on the enforcer? It depends. It's player preference at that point. It depends on your preference. There's not, one is not going to be better than the other. There's a lot of games, like I know here in Wyoming, we have the enforcer and stuff like that. And even over at Wendover Nugget, they have the enforcer. It only goes up to 5 lines. There is not a 10 line option on it. But you go to Vegas and there might be a 20 line version of it. You just never know. It is entirely player preference on what you can afford to do and what your preference is. Obviously, more lines usually are better in most cases, but it usually costs more to play. So depending on your budget, depending on your bankroll, that's again what I would judge it on is bankroll and budget. Let's see. Are there any brand new games that are low volatile? Low volatile, not that I can think of, other than just classics that are coming back. IGT has done a really good job of bringing some of the classic games like your Double Diamond, Triple Diamond, stuff like that. Those are coming back to the newer cabinets. They are probably mostly going to be found in high limit rooms is the only thing about it, though. Brand new low volatility slots, I don't think there are any. There are some that are on the lower end, but like to label them as low volatility, most of them are not. Most of them are going to be in the mid range, if not a little bit better or a little bit higher than that. Paul says, are content creators allowed to write off the money they gamble with as a business when it's used to create content? Gambling, no. You can write the gambling off as gambling losses up to your wins, but as a business expense, no. And it all depends on how your business is qualified too, but no, you can't. So content creators don't just get to, have giant write-offs. Trust me, we pay a lot in taxes. A lot in taxes. I think my tax bill is like normally 50 to 100 grand a year. We pay a lot of taxes. So, yeah. Let's see. Have you ever been to Atlantic City? No, I have not. That's one of the places that I have not been. Let's see. Dylan says, why is pinball the best slot in the casino? Love me some pinball. Overall best slot. I wouldn't say that it's the best slot for everybody. It's a fun slot. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorites. Would it classify as being everybody's best? Probably not. I think that comes down to individual preference. But pinball has definitely stood the test of time, though. It is a very old game. It is not a new game by any means. Pinball has been around for a very, very long time. It's seen some awesome changes. It's about to see another change again. Pinball Grand is coming out this year. So we're going to see the new iteration, the next iteration of pinball. It's going to be a lot of fun and really exciting. Can't wait to share that with you guys. But no, pinball has definitely stood the test of time, and I think it just proves people love it. People love pinball. Let's see. Low budget, high limit slots. Do slots have a setting based on the gaming jurisdiction that they are placed in? Yes, it is actually called a jurisdiction chip. So all the slot machines, old or new, they have a jurisdiction chip in it. The jurisdiction is the one that sets the rules for what the machines have to be, either set at, minimums, maximums, stuff like that. So yes, it is entirely based on the jurisdiction. So we can look at, for example, tribal games. The jurisdiction is just that tribe. So we can look at, for example, Phoenix, Arizona. So you go to Phoenix, Arizona, you've got the Teo tribe, you've got the Gila River tribe, you've got the Salt River tribe, you've got all these different tribes. Those are all separate gaming jurisdictions, technically. But they still have to they have a very, very tight and now newer compact with the state of Arizona. That compact might have changed that, but they each individually will have tribal gaming offices. You go to Nevada, they're all under the Nevada Gaming Commission. That is their jurisdiction. It's just Nevada. So whether you were in Wendover, whether you were in Vegas, whether you were in somewhere out in the boonies, it's all one jurisdiction. So, but yes, that is true. They have settings for the jurisdiction. It's not individual casinos or anything like that. It is for the jurisdiction. But very good question. All right, I'll take a couple more questions and then we'll round out the evening. Hey guys, just as a reminder, especially if you're just now joining in here, we got a ton of questions tonight, and keep them coming. I'm going to pick a couple more, but if I missed your question, there's a free to use chat room on our website, ropethejackpot.com. There's a lot on there. You can ask a lot of questions. You can set up your own profile too. It's really cool. It's kind of like it's almost kind of like a little mini Facebook for gamblers. So check it out. It's free to use. Also on there, the main page, we've got where we'll be next. So if you're wondering where Cowboy Slots is going to be at, you can always check our website. That updates instantaneously. So the second something comes through, if you're looking for a date or a time on something, it will update instantaneously. It's right on the main page. The shop has lock boxes, links on where to buy these machines. There's so much more on there. So please do check out that website. There's also guides and everything else broken down. If you're a reader, check it out. All right. Bob says, love Frankenstein. Heard that a Dracula game was coming out. Any truth or rumor to that? Yes, it is coming out. We showcased it over at G2E. Dracula, it's kind of has the same, it's a little bit similar of a theme as Frankenstein does, but it is definitely coming out. I'm not sure where it'll be coming out next, but as soon as I see it, I'll play it. I'll play it for you. And $16 super chat here from Always. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. I promise 1% of my jackpots, and I think everyone should. Well, thank you very much. You guys don't have to, but I always appreciate it. Thank you. That's awesome of you. And congratulations on your jackpot. Really appreciate it. Nicole says Dracula's already out. Let me, follow up to that. Believe it's at the Rampart in Vegas. All right, well, there we go. It's already out. I wasn't sure if it was out yet or not. Obviously, I'm not from Vegas. Don't live in Vegas, so Vegas always gets everything first, and then it kind of trickles out. But yeah, I will definitely have to check that out. Derek says, do you have a favorite machine in the Nuggets high limit room? I got a couple in there. There's a lot of machines that have done me some really, really good in there. Obviously, you got pinball in there. 5-line triple stars. That's done me well. Enforcer is in there. You know what? If I were to design a casinos, if I were to design like the perfect layout of what machines I would want, I think the Nugget has all of them in one single room. They got some great games in there. I mean, they got Thunder Cash, they got Enforcer, they've got all your pinballs, they've got Top Dollar. They've got even a good selection of the Dragon Caches. A lot of times you go out to some casinos and they've got like all just the worst versions of Dragon Cash. But in the Nuggets high limit room, they've got both Panda Magic and Happy and Prosperous, as well as Autumn Moon. Those two are the best in low variants, and Autumn Moon is probably one of the most fun in terms of high variants. So they were smart cookies when they picked out that room, but they got some good stuff in there. I really couldn't pick just one, but they got a lot in there. And we will be updating for, if you guys are interested in coming out to the Wendover Nugget, we will be updating the next day on the website very soon. So be sure, check out that website. Keep an eye on it. Oh, okay. Well, we're in luck. Dracula is at the Fountain Blue in Las Vegas, and I will be back at the Fountain Blue in a couple weeks. It's on our website. So I will have to play that for you guys now. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead. We've talked now for about an hour and 41 minutes. That's a pretty dang long live stream. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. As a reminder, please do check out our website, ropethejackpot.com. There's so much information on there, guys, and that chat room is a lot of fun. It's like a Discord on steroids. So you can go, you can create a profile, you can put a little profile picture, you can talk to people in your area, other states, internationally, ask questions. There's a lot you can do, and it's all free to do. So why not? Give it a shot. Check it out. Tons to do. New video does come out tomorrow. As a reminder, members get early access to videos. So members, you've already seen what tomorrow's video is going to be because it came out for you guys today. But we will have a member live stream coming up again, hopefully beginning of this upcoming week. So really do appreciate you guys. And yeah, as a reminder, hey, Derek, thank you so much. Hit the thumbs up button on this video. We really do appreciate it. Everybody like this video. Why not? You just click a button, like the video. If you're out there watching and you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It's free to do. It's the same thing as following or liking on Facebook. Doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that button. So anyway, guys, really do appreciate each and every one of you. So happy that I was able to get on here and answer some questions for you. We will try to do these at least, try to shoot for once a month at the end of the month. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to the channel for when the next live episode is going to be. Anyway, guys, as always, best of luck. Stay safe. We'll see you again next episode. Take care.